Europe, historically, over the last decade at least, or the last century, has been strongly aligned with the rest of the Western countries, particularly the United States. We see the rise of China. We see tremendous growth in East Asia in population growth. We see Africa demographics growth. Does Europe at some point pivot to the East, given challenges around the likes of Russia, the Ukraine, current issues? How does Europe navigate this future, and what may that mean for the African continent?
Well, I think Europe will continue to look east in terms of building relationships globally. In an age of globalisation, of course, it's going to look east and west. So yes, there'll be closer relationships with parts of Asia than there are at the moment. There'll be greater cultural exchange with parts of Asia. Russia's an unknown quantity. Much depends on what Mr. Putin and his teams decide to do in the governance of Russia. About 10 years ago, there was much greater openness within Russia to European ideas, and vice versa. And since, the trade has dried up a little bit, there have been sanctions applied to Mr. Putin's team. I think that globalization means what the name suggests. There will be greater cooperation between nations of all kinds. But I think there'll be, after the Greek crisis and the recession before it, a greater wariness on the part of Europe, for example, when it comes to its trading partners. And that might affect South Africa, because Europe will be more wary about who it's getting into bed with and whether that partner can match up to the EU's expectations. So the South African government, for example, might need to make some changes to prove that its economy and its political situation are actually stable for the long term.
Of course, when we talk about globalization and these international relationships, technology begins to play a pivotal role. Communication, digitization, increased connectivity. What do you see the role of technology being, not just in the governance space, but also in business and in society broadly?
Well, technology is only ever an expression of human desire, aspiration and need. I mean, the technology is not destiny. We are not a product of the technologies we use. We're a product of how we choose to engage them. We've seen that right through history, from the invention of the wheel, the invention of the bomb, to today's digital technologies. But one of the big things that's happening now is the automation revolution, the introduction of advanced robotics, nanorobotics, the building of microscopic machines from the atomic level up that can actually be injected into the bloodstream to keep monitoring things like heart rate, blood pressure, insulin levels. These are all very positive technologies in medicine, in prosthetics, in industry. We have almost now the advent of what is called Industry 4 in some parts of the world, where we leave behind old-style factories and we have remote, small production units all hooked up via the internet, working together over vast distances, which changes the face of industry altogether. So there are many waves of technology still to come. We're about halfway through the digital revolution. We haven't really started yet. And I think Africa is interesting because Africa has leapfrogged some other parts of the world, some other developing regions, in terms of acceptance of new technologies. And that's both a good thing and it does carry some dangers, I think.
Mal Fletcher, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Marius.